Have you guys ever noticed the differences between the AEV edition and the regular ZR2? I actually missed a few things and I figured it'd be a perfect time to do a video comparing these two trucks. I borrowed them from Garff Chevrolet here in American Fork, Utah. Both of these trucks are available for sale. Let's go ahead and check out the window sticker for this regular ZR2 and then I'll show you guys the AEV edition. As far as base price goes, $50,500. That's going to be the same for both trucks. Now this regular ZR2 does have the tech package, sunroof, underbody cameras, black nameplate, and tailgate lettering with the TurboMax hood emblem. Destination is $2,095 with a total price of $56,020. And then here are the fuel economy off to the side. As discussed, base price is the same. However, when you add this AEV edition, it increases the price by $11,700. Now this truck also has tech package, sunroof, underbody cameras, black tailgate lettering, and the TurboMax hood emblem. And you do get a $1,500 discount with this BISON package. Destination is the same, but the price is $65,995. Then here are the fuel economy off to the side. You got to give it the GM for actually testing both of these trucks for full mileage. You saw AEV got 16, ZR2 regular got 17 combined. That's pretty cool. Now, as far as pricing goes, these trucks are pretty apples to apples. The AEV is going to cost you an additional $9,975. It's pretty significant, but because of the discount, it's not as bad as you thought it would be probably. Now, with that being said, what are the differences? Now, the first thing you see on the front end is obviously the bumpers, and we know that's what AEV, which is American Expedition Vehicle, is all about. They give you more overbuilt bumpers, skid plates. They typically give you kits that help you to run bigger tires, and I think that the styling is just what I like better with the AEV edition. And let's just go ahead and check out the bumper. So if you plan on going off-road and you want a more overbuilt bumper, you get that with this truck. Now on this side of the house, let's see. That's plastic, right? So there you go. You're gonna have a little bit better ground clearance too, especially like in the center part of the bumper. And you can add a winch to that setup as well. That's not available on this regular ZR2. Now you do have really nice skid plates, red recovery hooks. And on this side, you have just more steel skid plates on the front end. And both trucks are going to have the Multimatic suspension. You can kind of see it popping out right there. So it's going to have spool valves, it has an oil reservoir, and yeah, it's just a really good suspension. Now, as far as tires go, let's talk tire size really quickly, because you can probably tell the regular ZR2 sits a little bit lower than the AEV edition, and that's simply because you do have larger tires on the AEV edition. Now on the regular ZR2, these are going to be the Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs. Now you guys see the tire size? If you can, I'll call it out. It's going to be a 285/70/17. So that's basically 32.7 inches in height, 11.2 inches in width. Also, this tire is made in Mexico. I figured I'd make that point. Load range C. And as far as the capacity goes, it's right here. 2,755 pounds at 50 PSI. Now, same tire. These are the Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs. These are made in the USA for whatever reason. So the tire size does make a difference where they're built. Also, load range C. Now these tires are basically not a true 35, they're 34.4 inches in height and they're 12.4 inches in width. So they're obviously taller, but they are wider as well. You can kind of see that too. Now you also can tell that this truck does have B-lock capable wheels. This alone is a really expensive option, and they're through AEV. And I like that high gloss setup, and I definitely like them better than what the standard ZR2 has. So it's both 6-lug 4-piston brakes on both sides. Now here's what I did not notice. When you get the regular ZR2, they do have really aggressive fender flares, and I would have expected this truck to have the exact same thing, but no. The fender flares on the AEV edition are even more aggressive. Now they don't have the same styling, but they're just a little bit more wider, and that's probably because of the bigger tires on this truck here. Now you guys can tell on the front end, you do have different skid plates, right? Now, if you go back a little bit further, both trucks do have the option to get the rock rails. However, on the AEV edition, you do have a more overbuilt skid plate for your transfer case. Some of your exhaust is more protected too. Your fuel tank is protected, and that rear diff does have a skid plate that allows you to slide over rocks and things like that so you don't damage the diff cover. Okay, now on this side of the house, you guys will see this has a decent skid plate, but you don't have a skid plate for your fuel tank nor for that rear axle out back. So that's pretty much where you see the biggest differences between these two trucks. Now this truck out back, again, you have the Multimatic. You don't have the jout stop on the regular ZR2, but you do have it front and rear on the ZR2. Okay, and as far as that goes, I think that's pretty much the biggest differences. You guys can see the larger tire out back, but the good news is if you get the regular ZR2, they give you a matching tire, but with this AEV edition, they give you a matching tire and wheel on this truck too. And you have to take account that that tire mount does cost something as well. You have the overbuilt bumpers out back with the recovery hooks built into them, and with this regular ZR2 has is nice as well. Parking sensors on both sides. But yes, badging is slightly different, and as I said, you just have the more overbuilt bumpers. The bumpers alone, alongside of the skid plates, could account for half of the price if you wanted to add this stuff after the fact. The B-Lock capable wheels are just going to add even more money to the truck too. So if you're building this truck aftermarket, you'll spend more money for sure. Now they don't put a spare tire underneath this AEV edition, and you guys see the skid plate right there. You can kind of see the jout stops a little bit better too. But yeah, that's pretty much the big differences on the outside. But like I said, the biggest thing I did not see was the fender flares. They're totally different, a little bit more aggressive on the AEV edition. Now as far as the powertrains go, there's no difference. On the AEV edition, they do give you these all-weather liners, and they give you the stitching here. You guys know that these trucks have front and rear lockers and decent interiors too. You have large screen. They both had the sunroof, and you guys also saw the underbody cameras. But here's what we're going to do next. I want to drive these trucks. Obviously we want to see how do they ride on the highway. That's a big deal. Last thing I have to mention, completely forgot about this, you're going to have better clearance too for these larger tires. And so if you want to run the larger tires, they did make adjustments for these. Now I want to show you guys the underbody cameras here to see if you could tell a difference. Because of the skid plates, there might be a slight difference, right? So let's check it out on the AEV edition really quickly. Not sure if you guys can tell, but there is a difference in what you see out of the cameras. Not a big deal, but just something to consider, right? And then you have these camera views here. This is the front, and then this is just front and rear. But yeah, there's definitely a difference in what you see out of the cameras because of the extra skid plates underneath. I've been driving this regular ZR2 now for about 3 minutes on the highway. These tires are very misleading because when you originally get them, they're really quiet. Now these are load range C. I have like a load range E, I believe, on my HD truck. These tires have a little bit of road noise, but it's not bad. Like at 60 miles an hour, I have the AC off. I can't hear any tire noise really. I just hear just a slight hum. And once you get over 55 miles an hour, that's where you start to really hear the tires. Now let's go ahead and check out acceleration really quickly. All right, so we're going 60. Let's give it the juice. really strong kick down. Wow, that's not bad. I can't wait to see how the 34.5s do. I mean, this truck actually does pretty dang good for acceleration. Now I can hear the tires a little bit more so at 80 miles an hour, but it's not bad though. I can have an easy conversation with my wife in this truck with these tires. No problem. Now when they break in more, they're gonna get a little bit louder. So you're gonna hear just a little bit more road noise as you get closer to 1,000 to 1,500 miles. But after that, it should just kind of taper off. But it's not bad at all. There's no play in the steering wheel. And this is a decent interior too. Let's go ahead and check out how that AEV does. There's a little bit more sway. Just a little bit, not like a big difference, but I can definitely tell once you get over 60 miles an hour, there's a little bit more wind obviously getting underneath the truck because of the front air dam is not there as much as you saw in the regular ZR2. I think this truck rides better though. I feel like it rides like a Baja truck. That's what it feels like to me. There's really no decrease in the performance either with the extra weight and the bigger tires either. Yeah, I'm going 75 miles an hour. I don't even hear the tires in this one. These tires might be quieter. I am hitting a headwind going this way, so when we go back the opposite direction, I'll confirm that. Here's what I really want to see, how this thing handles. You know, honestly, this is very confident. I don't have any problem going around a curve at 40 miles an hour with these taller stance. The only negative thing is obviously your visibility out the back of that glass is a little bit reduced. Giving about 30% throttle. I don't feel like you lose any performance with these taller tires. I think it's just, yeah, the extra weight. You can tell the extra weight when you're braking. But like when you're accelerating, you don't notice that the extra weight's there. I'm gonna drop back down to about 60. Then I'll give it the juice again. I wanna see how it does. Truck is pretty warm now too. There's not a big difference between the acceleration. There's just extra weight, and you can tell there's a little bit more of a, I don't want to call it a strain, but there's definitely a little bit less performance obviously because of the extra weight. But yeah, I can't hear any tire noise at all. I hear more of the wind noise outside, but that's really it. Let's go ahead and check out the weight of these trucks and the payload, and then I'll pretty much end the video. So you guys see the gross axle weight reading out front is going to be 3,500 pounds for the regular ZR2. 3,400 pound rear. Gross vehicle rating is 6,250 pounds, and the wheels are 17 by 8. All in payload is 1,265 pounds, and tire pressure is 36 psi all the way around. Let's check out what the AEV edition is. So they do increase the gross vehicle rate reading, but everything else stays the same. And 17 by 8.5 wide wheels. All in payload is 1,045 pounds. You guys see the tire pressure is 36 psi. I think max on these tires for the AEV edition is like 35 or something like that. It's kind of funny. When you consider the curb weight of these trucks, the regular ZR2 is going to weigh 4,985 pounds on the curb. This AEV edition is going to weigh 5,305 pounds on the curb, which is a difference of 320 pounds. So bumpers, skid plates, bigger tires, B-lock wheels are going to be heavier, by the way, too. The tire rack out back, yeah, you're going to pretty much increase that weight by 320 pounds. And that may not seem like a lot, but that's a pretty big difference on a mid-size pickup truck. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I definitely would pick the AEV edition because I'm not planning to tow with this truck. I think that some people lose their minds when they see the price of these trucks, and I don't blame them because they are not cheap. However, if I were to go show you a side-by-side, right? A side-by-side can cost $50,000, and in certain counties here in Utah, you can actually drive those on the road, but obviously around the world, you can't drive those on the main highways and things like that. So I like the idea of the ZR2, because you can pretty much get that capability that those side-by-sides have, but you can actually use the truck as a day-to-day driver. So again, comfort's there. I think fuel economy, you're going to probably take a hit for sure, but the reality is, I mean, you don't buy this for fuel economy, you would buy that. So yeah, let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. See you guys soon.